My tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm gonna create a simple application, making you more understand more about the fragments that we have learned in our previous lectures, right? So it is a simple quiz app where your app will be consisting of 3 questions. So these 3 questions are: what is the largest planet, which planet has the most moons, which planet spins on the side, and then you have to provide the list of possible answers that the user can choose. And once the answer is chosen, then you have to show the correct answer, or if it is a wrong answer, then you have to show it that it's a wrong answer, right? And then also some details about the correct answer, right? And then so now the guidelines are, actually we will create a activity called quiz activity, which will contain actually host the fragments, that is a question fragment and the answer fragment. So it's a pretty simple application, but this application will be demonstrate the utility, the use of fragments, and it will make you more understand the fragments. So the quiz activity is pretty this one. You have pretty blank activity which will contain a fragment container view. So this is like a view group. Then the strings that I have used is this one, the themes that I have used in this one, and what else? Nothing more. So yes, and actually I have created 2 fragments, which is called questions fragment and answers fragment, which is pretty simple, right? And so let's go to the coding, and let's start with first the questions fragment. Okay, so your questions fragment actually um, will consist of like you will show a questions, right? And then but you have to select the questions, so you need a listener that listens to the view. I mean, like you listens to the click listener and then implement the listener, right? So we will have a we have to first need a interface which is called answer uh, listener, and then this answer listener will have a on answer selected. So you select the answer, then you pass the, actually it's not about only about the answer. You actually it can be multiple purpose. Okay, it's like questions question answer listener, so it can also be like used to the, because first we are obviously going to pass the questions id, right? That means you have to pass the selected question. Okay, and then yeah, once you attach your fragment to your main activity, to your hosting activity, that will be this quiz activity, then you are gonna have to check if the answers listener or question answer listener is implemented. So your quiz okay, so if it is implemented, then you have to, but first let's create a variable for question answer listener, and then you have to initialize the question answer listener with the context, else you have to throw a runtime exception saying that you must implement the answer listener, right? Like question answer listener, so it will be question answer listener. Okay, so what next? So once you have implemented and once you have attached and initialized the question answer listener, we on view created, actually I have created the list of questions. There are, we have 3 questions. I'm just passing the id of the questions, And for each question when you select, so let me select the questions. For each of the questions you select, you set on click listener, you pass this listener, but actually we have not implemented any listeners, so we will implement the click listener, and then we will have to implement this on click, and which will be pretty much uh, implement the listener answer. Okay, question answer listener. Like on selected your question, you pass the question id is a question.id, right? Okay, so here in the questions you select the question and you pass the id, selected question id, to the next activity, that next fragment that you are going to open, which is will be obviously the answers fragment. So now we have to implement the answers fragment. Okay, so what next? For implementing the answers fragment, so obviously we need this we need to implement on view created. Actually I have already created the view list of views that will be your answers fragment is this one. So I have created the list of views of this answer, and then I have actually a header text, and like this is a question text, and I have this answer text. Okay, so this is the answer, and this is the header text. Okay, actually I also need the variable for this header text and answer text, because I'm gonna update the answer, correct answer, in this answer text, and also the header text with the question, right? And okay, so what next, guys? We have this similar, we also have to implement the view listener, because we have to click the answers, right? And for each planets that you select, set on click listener, obviously here we have to pass this one, but here we have to implement the view on click listener as the previous fragment, right? So we have to implement on click, and same goes here. So in this on click we have to pretty much this will be deciding your right answer and correct answer, or it's a wrong answer. So here when you're okay, but here I have to also declare another variable called a question id. Okay, because actually the question id is obtained from the previous fragment as arguments. So here I have a question id which is like a int, and so actually it's a default value is a no question id default value, which is pretty much your question id is set to 0. Okay, so then your question id actually will be like you'll be accessing a question id value from the from question id will be accessed from the arguments, right, that you have passed. So you have a question id, otherwise you have the default value is no question set, right? So here now we have to set the answer. So we have to set the answer here based on the question id, and so the first question is the largest planet, and here here we have to check if the view dot id equals to r dot id dot Jupiter. If you have selected Jupiter, then it's a correct answer, obviously, because Jupiter is the largest planet. String Jupiter answer and get string r the string correct, else it's a incorrect answer. So similarly we have to update the incorrect answer. String Jupiter answer, string wrong, because it's a wrong answer. So similarly goes with the another question, which is dot id dot, it's like the second question was which planet has the most moon. Okay, most moon and side spanning. So which planet spins on its side. Okay, so these are the situations, I mean like two possible questions. So most moons, and finally we have to choose also spinning, side spinning. Okay, so here we have to do the similar situation. So which will have the most moons is actually Saturn has the most moons. Saturn has the most moons, and else it will be an incorrect answer. And side spinning is like Uranus. Let me see the question. Which planet spins on its side? So the planets that spins on the side is Uranus. Okay, I can pretty much copy and paste because it's Uranus. I can also do the same here. It's a Saturn. It's a Saturn answer. Saturn answer. It's like Uranus answer and Uranus answer. Yeah, the similar logic goes on to every process, every other questions. And now we have to set also the header text. Now we have set this will set the answer text. Now we have to set the header text. Okay, the similar logic also goes to the header text setting. So you can pretty much copy and paste this one, but here the situation is like we don't need to check this, the answer, right? Here we have to just select header text. Text, you just get text, get string, string that largest planet with and similarly with most moons, and you have here side spinning, right? So voila guys, I think here we are ready. We have ready with the fragments. Now we have to just put some logic onto the activity, because here our activity actually it's a pretty much a view group. It's called fragment container view, which is pretty empty. So here actually we have to create some logic and say if saved instance state, if nothing is saved, then you have to add a new fragment, which is fragment container view, fragment container, let frame out. Okay, so we have to add the first fragment. Will have either question fragment, right? And we have a fragment which pretty much then we have to fragment manager, begin transaction, and then what we have to do is we have to dynamically add a fragment to the container, right? So it's dynamically we're adding questions fragment, commit, and then here we have to implement our listener, answers listener, and here selected, you have to do the similar logic here, but in case now it's not the questions fragment, it's answers, it's fragment. Okay, so now in this case it's answer fragment where we are not adding, but we are pretty much gonna replace. So let me replace this the current fragment with the new fragment, that is a answers fragment. And then when we replace, add to backstack is set to null, in order to avoid the back, when you when the user presses the back button, then it doesn't go back and to return to the or close the application, right? Because you are hosting the same the activity is hosting the same fragment, right? When it's replacing. So in case of replacing, you have to add to backstack to null, okay, just to avoid the back when physical back press button. Okay, when it presses, like, it's gonna, if you are not adding a backstack to null, then it's gonna close the applications, right? So now we are pretty much gonna run the I'm just building the application and running it, and then let's see if our application is okay. Okay, let me see. Okay, it's pretty getting launched for the first time. Okay, so let me run it again. Okay, so we are able to install the application. It's called quiz application. Voila guys, so our application is pretty ready. So let me see which is the largest planet. So I think it's Mars. No, nothing is happening. Is what we think is Jupiter. I'm not able to get the I'm not able to get the listener here. Okay, what's the problem here is I'm not being able to pass the selected question and navigate to the next one. Okay, so let's check again. Fragment container. Okay, so let's check what's getting wrong here. Obviously I think I missed something, some listeners here. Yes, I missed initialization here. I missed the new okay, actually I missed the question ID that you receive. Okay, let me run it. Okay, where is my quiz activity? Yeah, what I missed here is actually the new instance, that obviously we have to pass the question ID here, and we have to run this application again. So it's gonna work now. So which is the largest planet? As I told you, Jupiter, right? Yeah, correct. Jupiter is the largest planet, 2.5 times the mass of other planets. And what's if it's a Mars? Wrong. Jupiter is the, so you see that getting the wrong results. So what about, let me go back and say which planet is the most moons. So actually, which planet is the most moons is Saturn. Yeah, correct. Saturn has the most moons. It and has 82 moons. Okay, so let me go back, and which planet spins is, let me see, Mars. Wrong. Uranus. So if you see, put Uranus, correct, Uranus spins on the side. So yeah, so our app is pretty working fine, and hope you are doing well, guys, and thank you for listening, and catch you up in the next lecture, guys, and see you soon. Thank you. Bye bye.